Time for the French papers now. Dipti is with us here on set. You're going to start with the French government, going to unveil its plans for reforming the national rail operator, the SNCF. It's a big thing here in France, isn't it?
It's very big because the SNCF wants to go on strike against these changes, and some of the changes the government is proposing is quite radical. It's safe to say that the left-leaning press is very critical of these reforms. L'Humanité, the communist paper, accuses the government of propagating fake news, or l'intox in French, about the company's finances in order to justify this overhaul of the state-owned rail operator SNCF. They are threatening to go on strike beginning next week. Anger has hit boiling point at SNCF. That's what Libération says on the front page, using a phrase "à fond de train," sort of play on words on the word train. The paper is very skeptical also of the bleak financial portrait of the company, which it also says is being used to justify severe government reforms. Worth mentioning that in the past, Prime Minister Edouard Philippe has actually called the SNCF a system where people are paying more and more and getting less and less out of it.
Yeah, there it is. That's the front page of Libé. You found a piece just inside as well, haven't you, Dipti? They talk about the support for SNCF, Libération, comparing the company to its German counterpart in here, DeutscheBahn.
That's right. Libé looks at comparisons in terms of finances, ticket pricing, that kind of thing. And basically their conclusion, as you see in that graphic there, is that the SNCF is shaping up quite well when it comes to company financial health. They bring in over 32 billion euros, just a little short, but not much short than DeutscheBahn's 40 billion euros annually. In other categories like high-speed trains, the SNCF actually have more high-speed train networks, and they're also cheaper. The editors at Libé critique the government's, quote, bad faith, saying, I quote, trains are an instrument of solidarity, equality and social cohesion. The government is sounding the alarm with a broken bell.
Let's move on to something different. The Paralympic Winter Games. They're well underway, of course, in Pyeongchang. You found a piece in Le Parisien. Now, this is looking at Paris's 2024 Summer Games. They're more interested in that, aren't they?
They are, and the government, once again, is sounding the alarm on the 2024 budget, warning that there is a risk the costs could blow out and that certain infrastructure necessary for the Games might not be delivered on time. This is according to a report undertaken after 6 months of observation. It's more of a warning for the moment, saying be careful, have a safety net, know that some changes might have to be made. They point their finger notably at the new nautical centre that needs to be built north of Paris, warning that the construction of a pool could indeed cause a budget to double. As you see from Ranson's cartoon here, the official here tells organisers that the goal by the end of the Olympics in Paris is to have more medals, but not more swimming pools.
Hope. Now let's talk about an extraordinary story. This is of a mountain rescuer been summoned by police for helping an illegal immigrant give birth.
It really fits, actually, this story and the next one, as you'll see, fits into the sort of only in France category that we sometimes find. Benoit Ducos, he discovered last weekend a family of 4 accompanied by 2 other people, including a heavily pregnant wife. They had crossed the border from Italy into France through that perilous journey through the Alps. The woman was so pregnant she could barely walk. She was being held up by 2 other migrants, and he decided to drive them to the nearest hospital. Unfortunately for Benoit Ducos, he's been summoned for transporting illegal immigrants and, if convicted, could face up to 5 years in prison. As the old saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished, not even if he managed to get her there and she gave birth safely in the hospital.
Yeah, certainly true in that case. Let's have the other incredible story. The Parisien, looking at a baker been fined for working too much.
This is not a story you'll hear in other countries, I think. French baker Cédric Vevre runs a bakery in northeastern France. He's been slapped with a €3,000 fine for opening his bakery every day of the week last summer. It's in relation to a law that obliges a day of rest for employees. If he wanted to stay legally open every day of the week, he would have had to have opened or created a second bakery. No easy feat. He's hoping that the fine will be overturned. Even the city's local mayor has condemned the decision, saying there's nothing worse than closed shops during peak season, tourist season.
We could do the same here, couldn't we? Carry on after 10 a.m, which is the time this programme usually finishes. Well, Jeannie won't mind, who usually follows us. We'll just carry on. Finally from Dipti, this story from France 24's partner Mashable about London's Philharmonic Orchestra trying something a little bit new.
Well, come May, the 80 classical musicians of the Philharmonic Orchestra will be giving a concert of music based on the soundtracks of PlayStation games. Music from games like The Last of Us, Uncharted 2 and 3, and Everybody's Gone to Rapture, games I am totally not familiar with, will feature on their program a sharp diversion for the orchestra, which was formed in 1871.
OK, I'm sure it'll be very popular. Thank you very much, Dipti, with the papers. After the break, in focus today as Austria commemorates the 80th anniversary of the country's annexation by Nazi Germany. We report on the rise to power of the far-right FPO, causing much concern amongst some of the population. That's after the break.